Hello. This is part 7 of The Universe is a Mind. I was sitting meditating last week. I've not been able to make any YouTubes. I've been too busy. But during the silence of meditation, I was given some insights, and it came in the form of some verse which I've actually written down. So I'm going to show it you first, and then I'm going to read it. So if you want to stop the frame and read it for yourself, you can. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so you can read that for yourself, but basically it says, this is when I was in complete stillness, when my mind had stopped thinking. This is what was given to me, and I think it's straight from the field of mind from the universe that we're all part of. And when we can quieten our ego down enough, then we can hear it. So it's like a kind of poem. I'd call it a stanza. It says, "Nothing has a voice. It speaks of knowledge. In silence alone, nothing is heard most loudly. Things but reflect perspectives, values dark and light. Nothing has no side to guard, no point to force or prove. In silence, no thing speaks. Ancient truths it does reveal. Only surrendered things may hear. Opinions put aside. Lead on, great no thing. Knowing share with I. Then melt me in the I that's we. In truth, where I reside." I think my mum would be proud. The insights that I got at that meditation was that the reason why I've been struggling for such a long time trying to define intelligence is that it's not really a noun. I've had some discussion with friends about it, and we weren't sure whether it's actually a verb or a noun. And finally, my friend Benny said to me, "I've looked it up, Dave, and it's actually an abstract noun." So the problem is with normal nouns, say, for example, a pen, we can describe it by its qualities and we can say this is what it is. So a common noun is actually very easy to define. But an abstract noun like virtue, fairness, or thinking is actually not a straightforward noun at all. And what the sound, the voice of the silence, the knowing mind that I listen to, which I call it my knowing mind, and it's not mine, I don't own it, we've all got it. Often it speaks to us when we quieten down. Very often you find that you get a visit from your conscience in the middle of the night when you stop thinking about the day-to-day things. That's when you can listen to your knowing mind, and your knowing mind will tell you what's right. So what occurred to me, what the knowing mind gave me, was that the reason why I was struggling with the word intelligence is that intelligence is actually the language of the universe. The universe itself is a mind. So a mind is capable of holding concepts. But this is not a mind as defined by psychology. It's not based on a brain. There's no need for a brain to exist for this type of intelligence to exist in an abstract sense. But the language of the universe as a mind is intelligence, and it serves basically two functions. One is it's a construction language. So thoughts, actually, to quote, thoughts become things, and I think it's literally true. Thoughts within the mind of the universe, if they are intense enough, or if they're repeated enough, actually cause a formation process. So if we go back to, I think it was part 2 of The Universe is a Mind, I talked about formatrons and creatrons. So creative thoughts cause creation, and the formative consciousness takes on the qualities that it's instructed to. So for example, if the mind of the universe thinks of the idea of a pen appears. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with science. I'm talking about something that I've recently started to define as sub-empirical. So science is very valid, it's very useful, it's a great thing, it's a massive achievement for mankind, and any other species that develop science, it's a great achievement for them too. But basically, science deals with what can be empirically measured. So that means things that have, qualities. You can define them, you can measure them. We know from science that this pen is made of atoms. But what I'm talking about when I'm talking about on the level of a mind of the universe, and intelligence is a construction language, I'm talking about the very, very, very basic units of the universe, which I'm estimating are 10 to the minus 47, and I think Planck's constant is only 10 to the minus 31. So I'm saying much, much smaller than we can measure. So it's sub empirical. At that level, vibrations within years ago they used to talk about the ether, but I'm going to call it the fabric of the universal mind. Same thing, interchangeable. Vibrations in that field actually cause things to form. Then when things have formed sufficiently to become detectable, they then manifest in the realm of where we live, we call the physical universe. So when very sub empirical thoughts manifest enough energy or enough instruction, they'll cause an atom to be born. So an atom can be made according to its instructions given to it by the creative part of the universal mind. The other aspect to the universal mind is the ability to observe what it's created. And I think that this happens in us when we're very still. If we're very still inside, if we can get the ego mind to shut up and open ourselves to the voice of silence, the voice of silence will put us in touch with the truth. And I think that what happens is when we're very still, I call them signature vibrations that cause an atom to be made actually resonate with our field, and we recognize what they are by holding an internal model of it. I think that this is the purpose of meditation, is ultimately to calm the mind down so that all our chakras open up and they form like an antenna through which we can receive information from the universal mind itself. In other words, we're listening to God. If you don't like God, it doesn't matter. The creative process, it's not a person. It's an intelligence, and we're part of it. It is us, literally. So I wrote another little piece about the universe, and in the old days, God was originally referred to in the Old Testament as "I am that I am," which meant that it was what it was, and it didn't have, you couldn't identify it by qualities. It's not a common noun, it's an abstract noun, and it's immensely complicated. It is the most complex idea or group of ideas. It is the absolute, there is nothing more complex. The old Hebrew name for it was Ensof, which literally means endless. And if you read Rabbi David Cooper, he puts it beautifully, because he defines so many things, and when he comes to Ensof, he only just puts like one line in his book, and it says, I'm not going to waste any time describing it because you can't. So that's it. David Cooper wrote books on Kabbalah, which I find fascinating. So I'm going to hold this again to the screen. So if you want to freeze frame it, you can read it for yourself. Okay. I'm sorry, I've got a little bit of a shake in my left hand. Right, so now I'm going to read it to you. So this is describing the nature of I am that I am. And I said, again, this verse came to me through a meditation that I had last week. I am that I am. I is the manifest called into being by the unmanifest. Am is that which always was, is, and always will be. Am is the ocean. I is the waves on the surface. They rise up to stand out defined, then sink back into the ocean of am that supports them. Not lost, all energy intact, likely to rise up again. Me is the illusion of body, the vehicle that I uses. Me is the cause of true ignorance, innocent misunderstandings, in time to be washed away by the waves of I, dissolving the I and the false me back into the all. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thank you for listening. And I've got more coming. I've got some more insights. I'm just going to stop for today. Thank you for listening. That's part 7, I think.